A Course in Miracle Friday morning group. I'm Lisa Natoli. Welcome live streamers. Welcome everyone here. We got a full house this morning. I'm so happy to see everyone here. And that's right. And I am very excited for this morning's teaching. I'm going to be talking about Workbook Lesson 98, 99, and 100. And we have to make a decision that joy is our function here. So I'm going to be asking you some questions this morning about different states of emotions and how long it takes you to catch the emotion, how long you stay in sadness, how long you stay in guilt, how long you stay in anger, and what do you do once you have the awareness of sadness, anger, guilt, shame, blame, jealousy, competition. What do? Do you stay there, or do you have a practice to bring yourself back into the truth of what you are? So, announcements. What do I have? We have somebody eating the raw brownie bites. Welcome. I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
What's your name again?
Cindy.
Cindy.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Are you from this area?
I live up the street.
Oh, good. Okay. So I just got back from Mexico, and it was an awesome 1-week healing retreat. And I'm going to be doing another one next year, the last week in February. It's almost entirely booked already. And also Irene Tompkinson is going to be doing a 1-week co-ed. Nancy, what is it? Did you know about Irene's? It's a co-ed retreat. I'm not sure what it is. She's doing a retreat. For those of you guys local, Irene Tompkinson is doing a 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. workshop tomorrow. And my mom's going to be there. Hi, Mom. I think my mom's watching. It's for over 50, finding your purpose and your function. And Irene is just so good at this kind of thing. She's always just a kid. She loves bringing out the markers. She loves really activating people to come into their purpose. And also next year, Laura Powers, our beautiful Laura Powers, has also booked a 1-week retreat in this beautiful center in Mexico. And hers is going to be Al-Anon. So I think Laura's first. Laura's the second week in February. Third week in February 2020. I'm the last week in February. Mine's going to be a healing retreat. And Irene is the first week in March. So if anybody saw the photos online, if you really want to give yourself a gift to just go and let go of all your routines, it's available. So the next announcement is...
We have a few more return tickets for the Boston conference. They're not on the website, but if they will write to info@teachersofgod.org, they can get, I think we have 3 or 4 tickets available.
Okay, so if you guys online didn't hear that, we have a couple more tickets for the ACIM Boston May conference. And we got some awesome news this week that Bob Rosenthal, who's the co-president of the Foundation for Inner Peace, will be there. So if you wanted to come, it's just an amazing time to get together with everyone. And you can contact us at info@teachersofgod.org. I'm also going to be in England, for those of you guys who are on that side of the Atlantic Ocean. The week... Let me think. It's the week before the Boston conference. I have a very busy spring coming up. So go to my website, lisanatoli.com, for details on that. And the final retreat is this coming March. I'm going to be with Jennifer Hadley and Corinne Zupko and John Mundy in Hudson Valley, New York, March 20th. It's a Wednesday night and goes until Sunday. I'm going to be driving there, and that's going to be Kundalini Yoga and healing and forgiveness. So welcome, everyone. And now we will join each other in, I want to make one more announcement, the Transformation Room. Can I make that announcement?
Yep.
Okay. The Transformation Room is going is undergoing major transformation right now, and it's very exciting. So the idea came in to change the format to have teachers every single month to present a topic, and that teacher is going to have a one video and then the three deliverables. Four deliverables, but the one video, and then it'll be, so it's one whole month for one whole teacher. And I just love this because that was always the vision of the Teachers of God Foundation. That would be a Teachers of God Foundation. And
Alan Cohen.
so Alan Cohen, Jimmy Twyman, Corinne Zupko, Gary Renard, Cindy Renard, myself, Carol Howe, Bob Rosenthal, yep. I think. Bill Free.
Don't forget that guy. Oh, Kelly
Russell.
Freedom Cartwright.
Kimberly Cartwright.
Yeah. It's a great line.
And since we've announced this, we have a lot more teachers that are wanting to be part of this. So if you know of anybody that you think would be a great teacher, there's a couple other ones.
We don't have it.
No, for next year.
We have people that are already.
We're already booked for this whole year. Yeah. Who was the other one too? There was. I don't remember.
Well, Jacqueline Irwin.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
Cindy Renard's sister Jackie, who is a great course teacher.
Cindy Renard's sister, yeah. Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to meet each other in love. Our time for community and blessing. So if you can all rise and bless each other with the love of God that you are. I love you.
All right.
Love you. Yeah, me too. Love you, Erica. So awesome. It's a great week. Yeah, right. Yeah. So wonderful. I know. My son. These are fresh coffee. I had to tell her. I used to. I'm learning now. I think I finally figured it out. You just let that come up. Good. Are we on to lunch? The only thing that I ever asked when you were trying to make a celebration. And then one was like, do you bring your finger back? And I said, I can't get a knife in that one. Are you kidding me?
We're doing the thought for the day.
Linda Munoz. Sorry.
Well, The local guys showed up. Our big group is 110 or 100, 109.
Oh, good. Okay, so welcome back. So I'm happy to bring up our gorgeous Linda Dudenoth for today's Cafe Gratitude reading. Looking gorgeous. Oh, you need a microphone.
Today is March 8th, and because of March 8th, I'm going to read March 9th too. Anyway, I wanted to start with March 9th. My religion is kindness, and that's a beautiful word, kindness. And, it doesn't get the reputation. And so it says, what do you love about your mother? What do you love about your mother? I love that my mother is vulnerable. I think I learned how to be vulnerable. Can you hear me? Good. And so today, let's go back to March 8th. Resolve to be thyself. So why? It says, he who finds himself loses his misery. So what I noticed about the book was it's trying to lose its cover, It's all dripping here. It's trying to come out of its shell. And so we're going inside the book to get to who the heart of this book is. So I feel better, so I must be finding myself. You can do it backwards, right? And it's an up and down road. One day, so is it good? Is it bad? Finding yourself. Anyway, let's read the question. Can you see that without someone's receiving, there is no opportunity to give? So, like I was trying to send messages to a guy, let's say, and there's no receiving, so there's no giving. It's not working. So you got to have that you don't. If you have to honor that, if they don't want to receive that, and that's that's finding yourself. Look back at yourself and be happy.
And see where your attachments are to someone responding.
Yeah. Needing that response in order to feel good.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the rubber hits the road. Thank you.
The rubber. Rubber. Get that tires. Okay. So I'm good. You don't have to prove. I'm happy.
And we love you.
On now.
Is it plugged in? It's on.
Yeah. And I hope you all could hear me online right there.
No, they couldn't.
I couldn't hear a word.
Not a word.
Okay.
They saw your mouth move.
Ha. You saw the peace, you felt the peace of God shining from my heart. So today I'm going to be following on what Linda just expressed in Cafe Gratitude, that when you find yourself, misery disappears. And when you identify with the light of what you are, darkness and illusions cannot remain. They cannot stay. And I'm going to be reading from Workbook Lesson 98, 99, and 100, which says that you have a part to play. So it's like being in a movie. And you've already been in a movie and you've been playing a part of weak, frail, limited, powerless, a victim, and you've been playing it so good, right? We all deserve an Academy Award for the part we've been playing of separation and complaining and judgments and grievances and poor me and I have no money and boo hoo hoo, right? And now you are given another part. They're going to kill off that character, and now you're going to play the hero. You play the hero in this movie as the light of the world. And you have to choose. We all have free will. And so you choose whether or not you're going to side with the truth of what you are and identify completely with the truth. And it's already here. It's not anywhere else. It's not later. You're not going to keep doing something and later it will be given to you. It is already your very nature. This light is already all-encompassing. And so you've just been disconnected from the light that you are, and now you are recognizing, okay, I have to make a choice. So yesterday I was on a Living in Purpose Mastery call. We have 2 calls a week for those of you who are in that program. A month. The first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the first Thursday of the month at 3 o'clock Eastern. And this woman that I know very well in the Living in Purpose group was expressing that she has been experiencing pain and sickness for a very long time. And she's so full of love, like she's so full of gratitude. So she's doing the work, but she's still experiencing this pain. So the body is calling very loudly to her as it calls to all of us very loudly. And what she said is that nobody can tell she's sick, but she's experiencing it. She has very little energy. She's just in constant pain. And so what she said was that you can't just say that the body's not real. She said on some level, the body is real. And I had to speak up, I had to say, at no level is the body real. And that's the place where people get upset because they think, no, the body's real. I'm in a body. You have to honor the body. You have to take care of the body. And it's very important that you choose. So I still find myself up here, right? I eat 3 meals a day. I shower. I drive a car. I do all of these things. I have preferences. There's certain things that I do, but I don't identify myself as the body. That's the difference. I'm not the body. And if you think the body's real, and so I was sick for many years, and so the body called very loudly to me. Like it was like, yes, you have to take care of this thing or you will die or you will experience pain. And I thought that there were things that I could do that lessened the pain that I was experiencing at that time. So I thought special diets, supplements, I did antibiotics, I did probiotics. And I want to tell you something, it didn't work. It just didn't. I don't know what anybody else's experience is, but I really believe that I was going somewhere, that I was on a journey, and that eventually I would have perfect health, that I would just whatever this thing was that was happening in my life would just disappear. And I want to tell you, it didn't. I don't care how much I changed to a whole food diet, and I was just meticulous, perfect at it. Didn't go away. And what I know now is that Jesus is saying, try as many roads as you want to prove that the body is real and that you can have an experience in it. And I couldn't find it. Maybe somebody else can. I couldn't find it. And so my entire healing came from making a decision to side with the truth. And that's what I wanted to do today. I really want to activate all of us to make this decision. And from that point, total freedom from all limits. So I thought that I was limited. I really felt for those years that I was experiencing that the body was limiting me, that I couldn't do certain things that I wanted to do because of the pain, because of symptoms. And we all have that experience, right? It's age, health, money, location, jobs. So the mind has already come up with limits for you, where you really think, like, I can't do that because I'm too old. I can't do that because I have no money. I can't do that because I have no energy. You must be identifying with the body then, because you are totally, totally free. And just in this moment, who's watching the Game of Thrones in here? Anybody? Okay. I don't want to encourage it because it is, without question, the most violent show. I've never seen more violent. Has anybody ever seen anything more violent than the Game of Thrones?
I have Spartacus.
Okay, Spartacus. I haven't seen Spartacus, but has anybody on this side seen the Game of Thrones? You have? Okay. So, but Bill and I are addicted to it, right?
And it's over.
Well, it's over. We just slammed through 7 seasons in like a month or less. We would just binge watch 4 episodes that are an hour each every night. One more. Because of course they keep you on the cliffhanger at the end. You got to find out what happens next. But it's a super violent show, so I don't know if I'm going to encourage anyone to go watch it. But it has some. Well, just get ready for violent rape, beheadings, body parts being chopped off. I mean, evil. But there's some really good spiritual teachings mixed in, right? Right? Who watches it over here? And did you finish all 7 seasons? We're April 16th, the new season comes out, everybody. Okay, well, what I want to talk about just in this moment, it just dropped in, is there's the Christ in there, Jon Snow. There's these two, there's the Stark family, and they've all gotten split up, and half of them are dead already. But the kids are all developed some amazing abilities, which just happen naturally, which is what happens here in the world. And so this one kid, Bran, when he was a very young boy, gets pushed out of a high tower, and they think he's dead. Well, it takes him a long time to come back, but he'll never walk again. He'll never have his use of his legs again. And so he kind of goes off on his own little journey. Well, then he starts to develop Christ's vision. And they call him the 3-eyed raven, right? And he can see everywhere.
But
so
that's not Christ's vision.
That's not Christ's vision, but he has an ability. I'm calling it Christ's vision, but he can see all things everywhere through animals and through he basically just sits under a tree or in a room or wherever he's at. And he has an ability to see the past, the future, the present. And the reason I'm bringing that up to tie in with what I was just sharing is that he doesn't have the use of his legs. He can't travel very far. And yet he's in full function of an ability. And that's where I really want to encourage you all to not think, well, I can't walk, I can't talk, I can't move, I can't this, I can't. Yes, you can, because you're total spirit, you're everywhere. And then his sister, Arya, same thing. She gets trained in a different way, but she's coming from this place of total mastery. And so
She's a trained assassin.
She's a trained assassin. Yeah, that's true. What's funny about that show? It's so good. Well, what's funny? Who online watches Game of Thrones? Let's have a look. I can't believe I just mentioned this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm such a good spiritual teacher.
It's got really good messages in it.
What?
It's got good messages in it.
Yeah, it's got great messages in it.
I've been watching it since day one.
But what's so funny about the show is that there's so many characters that you just hate, right? They're so evil. You can't believe how evil they are. But then somebody captures them who's even more evil, and then you feel like you want them to get out. Like it's like they've done such a good job of like, because can see like each one of them it's still the love of God there, but it's all mixed in with just safety and survival and getting ahead. And anyways, I digress.
And how does that connect with lesson 98?
Yes, it does actually. So we fulfill our function. So and then there's Jon Snow. And this is what I love. Like we see the messages everywhere where this guy, John, he's on a certain road. He really is the Christ though. Yeah. Like the writers of the show have written it in where he resurrects, like he dies and then he resurrects, and then he has to fulfill a new part. Like he has set a vow to protect a wall. And when the Christ in you rises, that old function is not there anymore. And he gets a lot of people that don't like that he's now going to fulfill a new role because they said, you vowed to do this. And that's what in the separation here in the world, we all vowed to die. That was our vow. Our vow was that we would stay separate from each other, that we would stay as bodies, and we made a vow. And in A Course in Miracles, there's a section in here that says that we, each and every one of us, no exceptions to a single person in the whole world, we made a promise to God that we would find our way back home. And what it says in the text is that not a single person could be born until you said, I will. And that's where the compassion comes in, because no matter what evilness you see in the world, it doesn't matter. They made that same promise that they would find their way back to their self within. They said, I will, and it said, and in that instant you were born. So you have a contract to come on home, to find your way back to love. And you don't remember you did that. Does anybody remember now that I'm reminding you? Nobody?
I do.
You said, I will. You said, I will. I will find my way back home. I will. And that's what the search is in time and space.
This is definitely not home.
This world is not your home. And somewhere you know it. And that's in A Course in Miracles. You know that this place of sickness, sadness, and sorrow is not your home. But deep within you, a memory of home calls to you. And you spend all of your time searching in the world for that place of safety and comfort. You can't find it because it's not here. And so now we make a decision to side with the truth, and it really is just a decision. And that's what I said to this woman yesterday. On no level is the body real at all, because if you think it is, you're still going to identify with it. You're still going to say it's sometimes real. It's not real. And I love the part in A Course, what if you saw your problems disappear one by one? And this is what lesson 99 says, which I wanted to do. And what I love about A Course in Miracles is that it includes all your difficulties in. It includes them in. So lesson 99, salvation is my only function here. Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way back to him. And God is the love that you are. God's not outside of you. God's not a thing. God's not a person. God is the light that you are, one with all. And so salvation is my only function here. So it says salvation and forgiveness are the same. They both imply that something has gone wrong, something to be saved from, forgiven for, something amiss that needs corrective change, something apart or different from the will of God. Thus do both terms imply something impossible, but yet which has occurred, resulting in a state of conflict now between what is and what could never be. Truth and illusions both are equal now, for both have happened. So this is where the Course meets us always, where you think you are, knowing you're not there. So in pain and difficulty and perceived problems, and then the truth is standing right there. The love you are, the peace, the joy, and now they're equal now. For both have happened. The impossible becomes the thing you need forgiveness for, salvation from. So it's just a thought. Pain is just a thought that I'm a body. And I have identified with the pain. I now have made myself a body, and it has become very real in my experience. So the practice is always stillness. It really is always, like Bill says, coming back to the awareness. So it says, salvation is the borderland between truth and illusions. It reflects the truth because it is the means by which you can escape illusions, yet it is not truth because it undoes what was never done. How could there be a meeting place at all where earth and heaven can be reconciled within a mind where both of them exist? The mind which sees illusions thinks them real. They have existence in that they are thoughts, and yet they are not real because the mind that thinks these thoughts is separate from God. I'm going to read that again. The mind which sees illusions thinks them real. They have existence in that they are thoughts, and yet they are not real because the mind that thinks these thoughts is separate from God. Does that make sense to everybody? I have a pain. The thing that's thinking that thought is separate from God. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have a question or difficulty with that? Yes.
It's really hard to feel that way.
Wait.
He's doing the body thing.
It's really hard to feel that way when you're in pain. Like I had a friend that, had cancer, and she was a course student, and she always said, I'm in pain. I can't believe I'm not a body when I'm experiencing all this. So I had a horrible toothache the other night. I was in pain. I thought I was in pain. It's really hard to, believe that, I think, when you're experiencing something different.
And what's your practice when you're in that pain?
I take aspirin.
Okay.
I take a painkiller if I have one.
Okay. Anything else?
And try to meditate and calm my mind and say, this pain's not going to be forever.
Okay. So this is the practice. This is where, so it is really in the stillness. So even, I know, Kathleen, you know how to do it. So what you just said, the last thing, what was the last thing you said? The pain is not, so.
It's not going to be forever.
So you were still focusing on the pain. So the practice is to shift our awareness and our attention off of the pain for the moment to the truth of what you are, which is the light that you are. And the mind that is determined to stay in pain does not want to do that. So have you ever had an experience where you sat in silence and shifted your attention away from the pain to gratitude, the light within you, the peace within you?
Yes.
And what happens?
With breathing, I focused on my breathing, moving to that part, and breathed into the pain.
And what happens?
And it got better.
Exactly. And it disappears too.
It did disappear.
I'm sure you've had an experience where it goes away.
Yes.
Okay. And that's it. And so you begin to see, like, you have to have these practices. And my experience with this work is that it's all conceptual until you have the experience, and then it's not conceptual anymore. So you practice. You do workbook lessons, you have stillness practices, you're working it, right? It seems hard. It seems like you can't watch your thoughts all day long. Like Jesus says that you, how does he say it? He's talking about an untrained mind, but you are far too tolerant of mind wandering. That's what he says. Chapter 2, you are far too tolerant of mind wandering. And when you start to just say, okay, I'm going, and this is what I did these years when I was experiencing these things. Like the body would literally take over. I'd be vomiting. So in those moments, it's like, all right, how do I stop this? I couldn't stop it. But I could be aware of where I was in the experience of it. And all the fear was coming up. I thought I was dying the last couple of years. Any moment could be my last day. And that was my experience. So all this fear, and then it was like, oh my God, I'm the worst Course in Miracles teacher ever. I'm a total fraud. I teach healing and I'm dying. Right? So I'm totally confronted, but at the same time, there was a practice of awareness, of being like, am I okay with leaving the body? Can I be in this experience? What if I get totally sick and I can't walk, I can't talk, maybe I go blind, so the mind is just, the ego is in its last days. And while all of that was happening for the first couple of years for me, I didn't want to go there. So I did everything to control my experience so that everybody would still think, oh yes, she's a great teacher, or she's whatever. When Jesus leads us all to a point where you can't play a game anymore. You have to make a choice. And so for me, I reached the brink of that, and that brink is total authenticity, where you recognize I'm going to be me. And if I go blind, if I can't walk, if I can't move, I'm still the light of the world. And that's the choice we all have to make. And my experience when I did that is total acceptance. Like, all right, I'm not going to try to heal anything anymore. I'm whole and perfect, end of story. The body fails, who cares? Not me. I'm whole and perfect. And you hear all these stories of like, why is Adyashanti sick? We could list off all these names of masters. Why is so-and-so sick? Why did so-and-so die of cancer? Why did Ken Wapnick die of cancer? Why? Oh, I guess they weren't awakened. So the mind just, and we have to make a choice. There's a call for teachers to step into this work and to say, I am here remembering the truth of what I am, and the body is not my identity, and I'm ready. I'm in. And just get chills. And that's the point where I know that this really is a plan of teachers, and a call is going out since before time began for individuals to remember who you are and why you were sent here, and to identify completely with the truth of what you are. So Jesus says his final lesson that he had to learn, and it's the final lesson for all of us, is to hear one voice. He says it in the text. That was his final lesson, to hear one voice, the voice for God. And
everyone can learn it.
And everyone can learn it. And thank you, because it's an ability. Healing is an ability. You have the power to hear that one voice. Where's the microphone?
I was just, when you said something, it brought to my attention, like, what I go through too. It's just really hard when, like, people are being unconscious, or they think they're being conscious, because they're reacting to something and it's like a conscious choice of right and wrong. And then they have this huge reaction that's obnoxious or something. And then in my experiences, this happens a lot with my family, and they can't listen to God's voice, or they don't listen to me when I'm trying to like make this situation a little better or something. And then they're yelling at me or something. And then misperception happens all over the place, and it's so much chaos. So, and then I end up getting angry, and then I feel like I can't stand being around certain people or circumstances, and it's really overwhelming. And it's like I try to keep the peace so much until the point where I end up breaking, and then I wonder why I have to always end up breaking. And then it does take me some time to then center myself again, and have that peace where it comes from God again. But it just takes time, and then I like have to write it out, and then every time I see specific people, it's the same thing all over again, and it's insanity to me. So I'm like, do I avoid being around them? I don't like avoiding it because they're my family, or they're people that I care about, and I have to learn how to deal with these hard circumstances and situations. But I like what you said, that about our mind, like a thought that is in separation, it's not God. Because when I'm one with God, I understand where they're coming from. But it's overwhelming for me because I'm so empathetic, and I'm always understanding where people are coming from. Like I take the time to think about it and consider it, but I get mad and frustrated that they're not doing the same for me. So I end up feeling alone. And it's just very hard.
Yeah, thank you. And I love what you said. So my question to you, because this is what we all are confronted with, like we now want the peace of God, and we want to be the demonstration and to give love and to live in peace, and nobody else is doing it. You just feel like, why aren't they jumping on board? So my question is, can you do it?
I can, yes.
Okay. That's
I don't know.
it.
I have to get better at it.
If each and every one of us in this room and each and every one of us online said yes, that's a lot more people in the world, right? And then and through your demonstration, each of our demonstration of the peace, somebody else is going to go, that looks like a better way to live. There's something going on with that person. And you'll begin attracting people that do want the solution. And my experience is just don't worry about the ones that aren't getting it. They're coming, because we all said I will. And I also know that usually your families are the hardest place. You know, Jesus couldn't teach in Nazareth, his hometown, because everyone has you in a box of how you are. This is a family dynamic. And you can, but it's not always easy. Like my own family, my sisters, they don't know what I do. They have no idea. No, they don't. They have no interest. I have no interest in talking to Course in Miracles to them. And so they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a minister. Okay, good, fine. They don't know my website. They don't know nothing. They don't know anything. And I tried in the past to talk to them, and they're like, we don't want to hear it. No problem. But my mother, she came along. But I didn't try to convince anybody to do anything.
She's here.
Hey, Mom.
Oh.
Love you.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. That's great. And I knew, using my mom, my dad, he's not on board either. No, but they're all on board in the sense of that I can love them where they are. And if I think anybody has to do something different, I'm now the one that's off the mark. If I'm not seeing them whole and perfect as they are, I'm now seeing the appearance, and now I'm the one that needs help. So our job is always just to love. And then in your mind, you start saying, send them to me. Send those. That's always my prayer. My prayer is always like, Jesus, whoever needs help, if I can help them in any way, send them to me. Like the door's open. I built a website, so I have a place where they can come and find me. You don't have to do that, but that's what I did. And then I say, send me to them. So it's like your mind is then always listening and watching. I'm always watching my space. I'm always seeing who's coming into my space. And some people really just don't want it. Fine with me. I'm not going to waste my time. But I know if you walk through these doors, chances are pretty high that you're ready to hear the truth, right? And, you know, with my mom, this is so funny. Like, I created this 40-day program for transformation, the very, very first one I did. So I've updated it a second time. And the first one I did, she didn't even tell me, but she signed up on the mailing list. And I saw it come through, and I was like, oh my God, my mom's here. And that's a surprise. I'm sure all of you have had that surprise where your family members are suddenly on board. You know, it's just, but don't worry about it. But it's just, it really is just like, can you do it? And that's why I love Martin Luther King. Like the one individual, one person can change the world. And then another always join. Look how many of us are here. There's 100 and something people online. There's people around the world that want to live this way. And so we start really just to be in that place. So I want you to think of any difficulty you have. I want us to just do the work here. If you have a pain, a problem, a fear, sadness, anything at all that's not pure love, pure joy, we're going to remove the block now, okay?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So the Holy Spirit holds this plan of God exactly as it was received of him within the mind of God and in your own. It is apart from time in that its source is timeless, yet it operates in time because of your belief that time is real. Unshaken, does the Holy Spirit look on what you see, on sin and pain and death, on grief and separation and on loss. So I want you to call to your mind anything and everything that is still calling to you. Mistakes, guilt, pain, suffering, loss, fear, death, grief, trauma, loss. Just call it all in. War. And it's being looked at right now with your most holy mind, which Jesus calls the Holy Spirit. The spirit of you, the self of you, the love of you is now looking on all of these things, these time, space-based things, and it knows yet one thing must still be true. God still is love, and this is not his will. Whatever that thing is in your life, pain, sickness, sorrow, God still is love, and this is not his will. This is the thought which brings illusions to the truth and sees them as appearances behind which the changeless is the changeless and the sure. God still is love, and this is not his will. So I want you to just stay with that thought for a moment. God still is love, and this, and insert whatever that thing is that you think is real, this is not his will. God still is love, and this is not his will. And thoughts are powerful. So as you hold this thought in your mind, God still is love, and this is not his will. This is the thought which brings illusions to the truth. So in your practicing, God still is love, and this, pain, this sickness, this cancer, this problem is not his will. This thought is now in this moment carrying the illusion of that thought, which has seemingly real effects to the truth, the pure light. It's disappearing in the light as you hold that thought. God still is love, and this is not his will. And this is why God takes the final step. You don't do it. You have the willingness to collaborate with this and to shift. You just shifted your attention over from the pain, problem, sickness, over to the truth. God still is love. God is love. You are love. We're remembering the truth now, holding it in our minds, and this is not his will. This is the thought which brings illusions to the truth and sees them as appearances behind which is the changeless and the sure. This is the thought which saves and which forgives because it lays no faith in what is not created by the only source it knows. This is the thought whose function is to save by giving you its function as your own. Salvation is your function with the one to whom the plan was given. Now, are you entrusted with this plan along with him? He has one answer to appearances, regardless of their form, their size, their depth, or any attribute they seem to have. Salvation is my only function here. God still is love, and this is not his will.
This is 99, right?
This is Workbook Lesson 99. You who will yet work miracles, be sure you practice well the idea for today. Try to perceive the strength in what you say, for these are the words in which your freedom lies. Your Father loves you. All the world of pain is not his will. Forgive yourself the thought he wanted this for you. Then let the thought with which he has replaced all your mistakes enter the darkened places of your mind, which thought the thoughts that never were his will. This part belongs to God, as does the rest. It does not think its solitary thoughts and make them real by hiding them from him. Let in the light, and you will look upon no obstacles to what he wills for you. Open your secrets to his kindly light and see how bright this light still shines in you. Practice his thought today and let his light seek out and lighten up all darkened spots and shine through them and join them to the rest. It is God's will your mind be one with his. It is God's will that he has but one son. It is God's will that his son is you. Think of these things in practicing today and start your longer practice periods with this instruction in the way of truth. Salvation is my only function here. Salvation and forgiveness are the same. Then turn to him who shares your function here. I love this. And let him teach you what you need to learn to lay aside all fear and know yourself as love, which has no opposite in you. We lay fear aside. In my worst fear, when I just thought I'm dying. Oh my God, I'm dying. And I realized, well, that's okay. Like in the middle of the fear, I realized I could lay the fear aside. And if today's my last day, well, okay. Like that's it. That was it. And my freedom was right there. And the recognition, I am love. And then the mind is on overdrive. What will people say when I'm gone? What will they say about me? Right? The mind just is like, oh, you better start up on that raw food diet again. Like it's just the mind until you see what it's doing. And you say, I'm not doing that anymore. I am love. without opposite. I am a child of God. My voice is God. My life is God's. My hands are God's. My feet are God's. I am God's. I belong to love. Father, use me. That's the call. And we're all going to be used in exactly the condition and the space you are today. I can't tell you how many emails I get from people that think their function is later. I can't tell you. They're trying to improve the body and they're trying to heal, and then later they'll start giving. It doesn't work that way. It's like that's the ego that wants to keep you trapped as a body. I'll give when I have more money. I'll give later when the weather's better. The mind's crazy. I have nothing to give. And you really begin to see you have everything. My friend from the second grade, Janet, she's on my Facebook page, and she's so positive. Like, she's just optimism and positivity, and it's no wonder to me that we're best friends since the second grade. And she posted this thing recently about pretend you are a billionaire in kindness and in love. We're billionaires. Like, we have light, we have peace, we have joy, we have so much to give. But as long as you're identifying with the body, you think you have nothing to give. You're identifying with your bank account. You have nothing to give. But when you identify with the truth of what you are and you recognize, like, I can sit with my brother and just listen. That's a gift. That's giving. Like, I can drop my grievances. That's giving. I've had so many experiences in the past where I made mistakes. You know, I made really big mistakes, not like illegal mistakes, but even those would be okay. But things I felt really bad for, you know, like people lent me money and I didn't pay it back. I didn't have it, but I didn't pay it back. And I kept feeling so much guilt about it. And then they released me from it. Like, they said, you know what? Forget about it. Like, they didn't hold me to it. They didn't, that is a tremendous gift. And now you can give that gift to others. They just say, you know what? Like, I just realized this thing, this problem that I've been holding on to, I don't want it anymore. I remember my mom, I'm going to tell a story about your mom. We had an issue that went on for a couple of years about a ring. You know, some of you may have heard the story in the past, but it was total misunderstanding. And we had a grievance about it for a long time. And we were up in Maine, this was many years ago now. And it was over a ring. And we were just kind of at odds with each other in this weird kind of way. And I was up in her camper, and we both had some kind of a breakthrough at the same time. She was in the bed in the back, and I was in the bed. And I remember laying in that bed, and I remember thinking, anything that's going to keep me from this love and the relationship with my mother, I don't want it. And I gave the ring to her, and then I expressed it to her that morning. I said, you know, I don't care about this ring. Give it to someone else. I don't even want it anymore. And then her response was, I don't want it either. You take it. Like, we both were like, oh my God, I love you so much. And you realize, like, oh my God, what are you carrying in time and space that you're holding on to that's keeping you from the love? What's more important to you? Your story and being right, having a material thing, or do you just like, I don't care about this thing? And you just let it go. And that just opens up a much, much bigger space for everyone. And so turn to him who shares your function and let him teach you what you need to lay all fear aside and know yourself as love, which has no opposite in you. Forgive all thoughts that would oppose the truth of your completeness, unity, and peace. You cannot lose the gifts your Father gave. Light, peace, joy, grace, presence, awareness. can't lose these gifts. You do not want to be another self, right? You don't want to be a body. Who wants to be a body in here? Anybody? Nobody, right? So now you can see the body's not real on any level. And whatever you are giving instructions to do in a body, honor it. Just, okay, honor it. Like that's it. But don't believe it's you. Don't think you can fix it or change it or heal it. It's not real. The only thing that needs healing is the thoughts that you believe you're a body. That's the only thing that needs healing. So just watch the mind when it's calling you to a body part. And it's saying, okay, let's make this real. You have a special message for today, which has the power to remove all forms of doubt and fear forever from your mind. Don't you love A Course in Miracles? I don't know why people say $40 is expensive. Because when I read sentences like this, I'm like, for real? Like I'm going to be given a special message in a minute that has the power to remove all forms of doubt and fear from my mind forever? Oh my God, what is it? If you are tempted to believe them true, remember that appearances cannot withstand the truth these mighty words contain. Salvation is my only function here. God still is love, and this is not his will. Your only function tells you you are one. Remind yourself of this between the times you give 5 minutes to be shared with him who shares God's plan with you. Remind yourself, salvation is my only function here. Thus do you lay forgiveness on your mind and let all fear be gently laid aside, that love may find its rightful place in you and show you that you are the Son of God. So it says, lesson 100. So what is salvation? Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts and separate bodies which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. So salvation is my only function here. If salvation reverses all those mad ideas that I'm a body, that I'm sick, that I'm in pain, that I'm separate from you. Salvation reverses it. And in that very place, with that thought gone, because it now has been lifted to the truth, I remember I'm one with you. Do you see the simplicity of that? Like if I think I'm a body, I think you're a body. It's that simple. And I think there's a space between us. So salvation is my only function. Let me remember the truth. Let me be still and remember the truth. Now I remember, I'm one. Here's my brother who I love. You see how simple that was?
And vice versa.
And vice versa, how?
Well, when you see them as a body, you've made yourself a body.
Exactly. So when I see you as a body, I've made myself a body. So that's why when you see others doing all that they're doing, you've trained yourself enough to see through the illusion. So last week in Mexico, we focused almost exclusively on chapter 31, recognizing the spirit. You either see the body or recognize the spirit. And what it says in that section was that it's not that you don't see the bodies, but that now you choose to see through the appearance, and now you are only here to bless, comfort, and love. That's it. So now you can be truly helpful. Now you're a miracle worker. I just don't think it's helpful for people to just sit on a mountaintop and say, oh, there's nothing the matter. Yeah, exactly. You see there's nothing the matter. But do you remember, I remember in my suffering, when another body came to me and offered me the truth, how it was the answer to my prayer. So you're the answer to others' prayers now. So you carry the light to them in their suffering and in their pain. And you're listening and you offer them what you have to give because you've received it now. So the gift to your family is to just love them. That's it. Like how brilliant they are in all that they're doing. And they don't have to change at all. And they will change when you see the truth of them. You just have you ever seen it when people want you to change, how well you do with that? Right? Like, I wish you were different. Like, screw you. But when somebody just loves me and they don't want me to change at all, like I'm now like, I think I probably could change a little over here and be a little kinder or something. Who had their hand up? Where's the microphone?
So first of all, Lisa's healing thing was amazing last week, you guys. Well worth every single penny. We just all learned so much. And we were all going through stuff. We were releasing stuff. Some of us had pain, mental pain. Some of us had physical pain. And we knew that that's what was happening, you know. Bonnie did yoga and could barely move. And just all kinds of things were going on. Me and Jane were in a room together and we could talk about that. The pain is coming out this way in tears or whatever. And listening to this little girl here, I got back and it was unraveling. So it was helping me see things that I had to release. And I got into my job and a shitstorm happened while I was gone. And this guy went in and tried to fire me and fire other people. And the young girls I work with, I didn't have to do anything. They were like, Laura, we're not firing Laura. Laura has taught us light. Laura has taught us the spirit that we are. She's like our mother. She's like our spiritual mother. And I appreciated them doing that. But I said, this is all part of my healing, girls. And I love you dearly. But it's time for me to move along because I'm not going to fight this person, place, or thing. And I could feel myself all day, like you were saying last week, flipping back and flipping forth. And I wanted to pick the phone up and just let this guy have it. And I called my sponsor because I'm in AA. And she's like, I'm so proud of you for not reacting right now. Like, this is not you. This is God. This is you being connected and you holding the light. And get out of there as quickly as you can. And I did my job for the day and I applied for jobs and I have 5 interviews next week. And that's what you do. You stay centered and you don't react because the reaction brings me right into away from God and into body. It's not worth it.
That's how that works. You know, the scenery starts to change. It does. Like you release something and all that you've been holding together as your world suddenly starts to shift. And that's why Jesus says the first characteristic of a teacher of God is trust. Because when you really say, okay, I'm all in. And then what it says on lesson 100, which I love, is that God's messengers, which is what we are joyous, and their joy heals all sorrow and despair. Your part is to be happy.
Yes.
And it says, we will not let ourselves be sad today, for if we do, we fail to take the part assigned to us by God himself. And we're almost at the end of our time here, and I just want us to check in on that because we will not let ourselves be sad today. I wanted to just bring that here because so often in the world we think we can't be happy, right? You're in sadness and in pain and sorrow and suffering, and you're waiting for something to change so you can be happy. I just want to check in with you. Can you just be happy? Can you just go there?
Yes.
Everybody?
Amen.
Can anybody not do it? So that's what Jesus says. Healing is the one ability you can and must develop if you are to be healed. You recognize you have the power and the ability to choose joy, peace, gratitude. You have the ability to, you don't have the ability, it's there, but you don't have the ability while you're unconscious to the sadness. But the moment that you are aware of sadness or pain, how long do you stay in it? Not long, right? Once you're aware of it, then you can do something about it. Now, there's, like Kathleen, you were expressing, there's ways to train ourselves to get out of it. So what you were describing, and I know because I asked you already, is that you were still focusing on the pain. Like when the pain and the sadness is there, what the mind wants us to do is keep focusing on the sadness and maybe it will disappear. It won't. That's not the training. The training is to be aware of the thought, the feeling, the sensation, the emotion, and in the silence, remember the truth. So you have practices now where you just breathe, as you know, that's not in A Course in Miracles, but that can be, it takes, like you said, it takes your attention off the pain. You see you have that ability. And then from there, I love all the quantum science stuff. We live in an infinite quantum universe with thousands of thoughts, right? Thousands of things the mind can pay attention to. And the mind just habitually keeps going to the same. I've told this story before. I'll get 100 letters from people who tell me I've completely changed their life. And I'll get one letter that says, you're an asshole. And guess where the mind used to go? Like, oh, I better change my teaching. I better do something because it's an old pattern of people pleasing. So, but an infinite quantum universe where 100 people have said, oh my God, thank you, Lisa. And so you see how the mind then goes. So when you're in a space of sadness or pain, I'm all alone. I have nothing to give. Infinite quantum universe expands and goes, where could I live in gratitude? Where can I start giving? What can I do? Right? Like you can just shift over and the angels are singing. Have we ended? No. I hear music. What?
It's a lullaby.
Oh, okay. So, I love you guys. I'm just going to end with this final from lesson 100. So now let us try to find the joy which proves to us in all the world God's will for us. It is your function that you find it now. For this you came. Let this one be the day that you succeed. Look deep within you, undismayed by all the little thoughts and foolish goals you pass as you ascend to meet the Christ in you. He will be there, and you can reach him now. What could you rather look upon in place of him who waits that you may look on him? So the Christ in you is just the light in you. That's all it is. It's the light that is one with everyone and everything. What little thought has power to hold you back? What foolish goal can keep you from success? When he who calls to you is God himself, he is here. You are essential to his plan. You are his messenger today, and you must find what he would have you give. Do not forget the idea for today between your longer practice periods. It is yourself who calls to you today, and it is to him you answer every time you tell yourself you are essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world. So I'd love for you to just say that and sound it in your own voice. I am essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world. One more time. I am essential to God's plan for the salvation of the world. Amen. I love you. So if you can join me in a circle. Thank you to Kelly Russell for teaching, and Nancy Fitzgerald, and Arthur,